You pull the rotisserie chicken off the rack, and it's still warm through the plastic. The skin is glossy. It smells like dinner solved. You didn't roast it, you didn't clean up, and it cost less than the raw bird 2 aisles over. That feeling, that you just outsmarted the whole store, is the most engineered feeling in the building. You didn't do anything wrong. You bought convenience, and convenience did exactly what it was built to do. But here's the number that should stop you. In the most trusted rotisserie chicken in America, one 3-ounce serving carries 460 milligrams of sodium, a fifth of everything an adult should eat in a day, before you've touched a single side. We looked at 12 chains: Costco, Sam's Club, Kroger, Walmart, and 8 more. And the pattern was so clean it was almost funny. The saltier the number on the back, the more beloved the brand on the front. The chicken you trust the most is pumped the hardest. So here's the rule for the next 20 minutes, and it never breaks. The front of the case is marketing. The back of the label is the truth. Every fact I'm about to give you comes straight off that label or straight out of a federal filing. Nobody's tasting anything for you. You're just going to learn to read the aisle. Let's start at number 8. Before we do, one honest thing, because it matters. Nothing on this list is going to poison you tonight. This isn't about danger. It's about what you're actually paying for when you think you're paying for chicken, and about a number on the back that most people never turn the package over to see. Found on a label is not the same as proven to harm you. I'll keep that line straight the whole way down. Deal? Good. And this is the part that flips once you see it. For years, the advice went one direction. The rotisserie chicken is the smart shortcut, and roasting your own is for people with time to burn. The store bird was the hack, but the store bird isn't a shortcut that happens to be cheap. It's cheap on purpose, heavy on purpose, and juicy on purpose. 3 separate decisions made in a boardroom, not a kitchen. The raw chicken you'd roast at home is, in almost every case on this list, the more honest object. It just doesn't come with a heat lamp and a story. Once you know that, the whole aisle rearranges itself, and the birds sort into 2 piles that have nothing to do with price. Number 8 is Stop and Shop. And Stop and Shop is here precisely because it looks fine. The bird is a normal size, the price is normal, nothing on the front warns you. Turn it over, and the sodium reads 330 milligrams a serving. That's the polite end of this list, and it's already 8 times what the cleanest chicken on the shelf carries. One word you'll need for the rest of the video: retained water. Under the USDA's own labeling code, if a chicken holds water from processing, the package has to say so, up to X% retained water, right next to the name. Below 0.5%, they can stay silent. So when a store bird is heavier and juicier than the one you'd roast at home, that weight has a paper trail. Stop and Shop's number is modest. The next one is where it stops being modest. Number 7 is ShopRite, under its bowl and basket store label. 520 milligrams a serving. We jumped almost 200 milligrams in one step, and we're still nowhere near the top. This is a store brand, the cheapest bird in the case, the one families reach for without thinking, and that's exactly why it belongs on the list at this spot. It's not being sold to people chasing quality. It's being sold to people counting dollars, and the thing they're being sold by weight is partly salt water. And that phrase, by weight, is the whole con in 3 words. You don't buy a chicken by the chicken, you buy it by the pound. So when a processor shoots brine into the meat until the bird is heavier, they haven't seasoned your dinner, they've added inventory. You are paying chicken prices for salt water, and the register can't tell the difference. Which raises the obvious question: why is a roasted chicken full of solution allowed to be that heavy in the first place? Hold that. The answer sits at the bottom of this list, and it's a rule that got quietly deleted. Number 6 is Boston Market, and this one's a different kind of failure. Not the sodium, the collapse. This was a company with 1,100 locations in the 1990s. Today, it's near 300 and falling. After it was sold to a new owner in 2020, its food supplier, U.S. Foods, sued it for $11.3 million in unpaid bills, won by default, and watched that judgment climb toward $15 million. New Jersey shut down all 27 of its stores in the state and hit it with $2.6 million in unpaid wages. Its own headquarters got seized over a $300,000 tax bill. It filed for bankruptcy in December of 2023, and former managers have said that some stores, unable to keep up, simply bought rotisserie chickens from Walmart and Sam's Club and resold them as Boston Market. Sit with that. The brand became a sticker you put on someone else's bird. That's the cleanest proof you'll ever get of the thing this whole list is really about, that the name on the front and the food on the back were never the same object. Boston Market just made it literal. And it matters beyond one dying chain, because a company that can't pay its food supplier is a company making decisions about temperature and freshness and how long a bird sits under the lamp from the wrong side of a spreadsheet. When the accounting collapses, the food is always the first thing to quietly go with it. Number 5 is Sam's Club, and this is the twist in the whole list, because Sam's Club has the second highest sodium number here, 550 milligrams a serving. On the number alone, it should be near the top of the wall of shame. Except in 2025, Consumer Reports ran the real test. They bought 10 to 13 birds from each of 10 chains, weighed them, checked the sodium against the label, blind tasted them, and even scanned for PFAS, the forever chemicals which they didn't find in any of them. And when the tasting was done, Sam's Club won. It beat Costco. It beat Wegmans. It beat Whole Foods. So how does the salt bomb win the taste test? Here's the mechanism, and it's the most useful thing in this video. Sam's Club seasons on the outside. That salt is rubbed onto the skin, where your tongue meets it, and your body can rinse most of it off if you skip the skin. That's different from a chicken that's been injected, and that's the catch with reading only the sodium line. It tells you how much salt, but not where it lives. Surface salt you can see and scrape. Injected solution, you can't. Sam's Club earns its spot for the number. It earns your respect for being honest about where the number comes from. Remember that difference, because the brands above it are not that honest. Quick thing. If turning the package over is already changing how this aisle looks to you, a like genuinely helps this reach the next person standing in front of that heat lamp. That's it. Back to it. Number 4 is Safeway, its signature cafe bird. The sodium lands around 460 milligrams, the same load as Costco, which we'll get to. But Safeway climbs the list for a second reason, and it's not about flavor. Customer reviews for these birds repeatedly describe undercooked meat, pink at the joint, and in some reports, feathers left cooked into the wing. Now, a review is not a lab test, and I'll say that plainly. But when the complaint that keeps repeating is about safety and not taste, that's a different signal than a bad seasoning day. And the ingredient panel tells you why the texture is off in the first place. It's an injected bird, sodium phosphate and carrageenan in the solution. Which brings us to the two words doing the heavy lifting in half the chickens on this shelf. Sodium phosphate is a salt that stops muscle protein from tightening as it cooks, so the meat holds onto water instead of squeezing it out. That's the juicy. Carrageenan is a seaweed extract that gels and traps moisture, so the bird stays heavy and soft on the rack for hours. Both are allowed by the FDA. And now the honest part. Food-grade carrageenan itself is not classified as a carcinogen. Its degraded cousin, polygenin, is flagged by the World Health Organization's cancer researchers as a possible one, and some studies have tied carrageenan to gut inflammation. That research is still ongoing. I'm not telling you it's dangerous. I'm telling you, it's in there to make the bird weigh more, and you're paying by the pound. Number 3 is Walmart, and Walmart holds the worst number on this entire shelf. 690 milligrams of sodium in a serving. That is 30% of your daily maximum in one piece of chicken from the store that sells more of them than almost anyone, 4,700 locations. $5.97 a bird. The injection list reads like a spice cabinet fell into a lab. Water, sea salt, carrageenan, garlic powder, dehydrated lemon peel, citric acid. Reviews call the texture slimy on a bad day and dry as jerky on a worse one, because that's what happens when the moisture is chemistry instead of fat. This is the national default. This is the bird more American families carry to the car than any other. And by weight, a real slice of what you're carrying is seasoned water. Put an actual number on it. A chicken that's 15% solution on a 3-pound bird near $6 is close to half a pound of salted water you paid full price for. Call it 75 cents a trip. Buy that chicken every week, and you've spent nearly $40 a year on brine at the store that undersold everyone to get you in the door. That's not a seasoning failure. That's the business model working exactly as designed. Number 2 is Publix. And Publix hurts to put here, because in the Southeast, people don't shop Publix. They defend it. The deli is the whole reason some people walk in, which is what makes January of 2026 land the way it does. A Publix pulled its lemon pepper oven-roasted chicken off the shelf after it may have been exposed to a chemical oven cleaner. One store, caught and corrected, and to Publix's credit, caught fast. But that's exactly the point, and it's not really about Publix. It's about you. The chain you'd never think to check is the chain you stopped checking. The better a store's reputation, the less often you turn its packages over. And a reputation is built over decades, while a bad batch happens on a Tuesday. Trust isn't a quality control system. It's the thing that quietly switches your quality control system off. That's not a knock on loving your grocery store. It's the reason the single most trusted bird in the country can carry the label it carries and still sell 150 million copies a year, which is the exact door the number 1 chicken walks through. Number 1 is Costco. Of course it's Costco, the $4.99 chicken that hasn't changed price since 2009. The bird Costco sells 157 million of a year and openly loses $30 to $40 million on, because a chicken that cheap is not a product, it's bait to walk you past the televisions. And it works so well that almost nobody turns it over. Here's how badly Costco needs that price to hold. In 2019, it spent $450 million building its own chicken plant in Nebraska, so it would never have to let a supplier's costs push the $4.99 to $5.99. Which means the farm in that undercover footage isn't some distant vendor Costco can shrug off. Costco owns the chain, top to bottom, precisely so it can guarantee you the cheapest bird in America, and the animal welfare complaints and the salmonella flags are attached to the very machine built to protect that number. The price you love and the problems you don't are the same decision. So turn it over. The label on America's favorite chicken lists 11 things: chicken, water, salt, sodium phosphate, a moisture binder carrageenan, or a casein protein, depending on the batch-modified cornstarch, sugar, dextrose, chicken broth, isolated soy protein, and mono and diglycerides. 11. For something that should be chicken and salt. The sodium is 460 milligrams a serving, and in January of 2022, Consumer Reports singled out this exact chicken and warned that the sodium was its main concern, a fifth of your daily limit before the first bite. Costco's own answer, when asked, was that the carrageenan and sodium phosphate are there to support moisture retention and texture, and that both are approved. Read that again. The company is telling you, in writing, that the additives are there to hold water. That's not an accusation. That's a confession printed on the back. And the bird carries more than a label. In 2021, the group Mercy for Animals filmed inside Costco's Nebraska supply farm birds bred so heavy they couldn't stand. Shareholders sued the board in 2022 over it. A court dismissed the case, and the board rejected the demand that followed. Then in February of 2026, a new lawsuit landed, pointing at a study of that same Nebraska plant flagged in the USDA's worst salmonella category for roughly 92% of the months it was tracked. Most trusted bird in America. Nowhere does the gap between the front of the case and the back of the label open wider. Now pause the countdown, because none of this is an accident, and the reason is one deleted rule. Go back to 2014. For decades, federal poultry law capped how much solution you could inject into a chicken, roughly 3% for a bone-in bird, 8% for boneless. Those numbers were a fence. They said, past this line, it stops being chicken and starts being a chicken product, and you have to tell people. In 2014, that fence, Section 381.169, was quietly marked reserved, deleted. Today there is no percentage limit. A processor can pump a bird with as much salted solution as it wants, as long as the label carries what the code calls a descriptive designation, a word like enhanced, or basted, or marinated. That's the trick, and it's worth seeing clearly. The cap didn't get raised, it got erased and replaced with a vocabulary. A hard limit became a word game, and the burden moved from the processor, who used to have to stay under a line, to you, who now has to know that enhanced is a warning and not a compliment. And it gets one layer deeper. A chicken injected with brine up to 15% of its weight can still wear the words 100% natural. Because in the federal definition, minimally processed only describes the meat, not the solution shot into it. So the most honest-sounding word on the package is measuring the one part of the bird nobody tampered with. Here's the math that should bother you. In October of 2024, a single plant called Bruce Pack recalled almost 12 million pounds of cooked chicken, the kind that fills store salads, wraps, and bowls under the labels of Target, Kroger, Walmart, Wegmans, Publix, Trader Joe's, Aldi, and Boston Market. One plant, a dozen names you thought were competing. When 10 brands can be recalled by one factory, brand was never the thing keeping you safe. The word on the front was decoration. The plant on the back was the truth. Let me kill one myth while we're here, because it's the one that keeps people from checking. People believe a rotisserie chicken is juicy because the store roasts it slowly and skillfully. It's a nice story. It's wrong. The juiciness in most of these birds isn't technique, it's the injected solution and the sodium holding water in the meat, which is exactly why the wet ones and the salty ones are the same list. Good roasting makes a chicken taste better. It does not make it weigh more, only the needle does that. So who passed? 4 birds. And notice what they have in common, because it's the same test that sank the others, run in reverse. Kroger's Simple Truth Rotisserie Chicken lists 3 things: chicken, water, sea salt. Its sodium is 40 milligrams a serving, 11 times lower than Costco's. No phosphate, no carrageenan, no binder. And that 11 times gap is the entire argument of this video in a single comparison. Same aisle, same heat lamp, same 3-pound bird, one of them is chicken, and one of them is chicken plus a moisture system, and the only place that difference is written down is the ingredient panel nobody reads. Whole Foods organic bird is nearly as clean, seasoned on the skin, sodium in the low double digits. Wegmans organic chicken runs among the lowest on the shelf, seasoned outside, not injected. And Heinen's, a small Midwest chain, sources from an Amish farm in Ohio. No antibiotics. Birds that actually stand up. One honorable mention too. BJ's, which sells a Purdue bird seasoned outside with sodium well under the injected crowd. Not spotless, but it's not running the chemistry either. But I promised you the truth off the back, so let me give you the truth about the winners too. Simple truth is Kroger, the same giant swept into that Bruce Pack recall. Whole Foods is Amazon. These are not tiny heroes. The point was never brand loyalty. The winner isn't the biggest name or the cheapest bird. It's the one hiding the least, the shortest ingredient list, the number closest to zero, the seasoning you can see on the skin instead of feel in the weight. Wegmans and Heinen's happen to be family-run, and even Heinen's supplier was bought by a larger poultry company this year. Ownership isn't the tell. The label is. A three-word list is a three-word list no matter who prints it. While we're clearing things up, 3 quick beliefs that keep people from checking. 1. Organic means no solution. Not quite organic, limits what can go into the bird, which is why the organic options here tend to be the clean ones, but the word that actually tells you about injection is enhanced or basted, not organic. 2. The golden glossy skin means it's fresher. The gloss is often the fat and the seasoning oils, not a freshness meter. A heavily injected bird can shine just as bright as a clean one. And 3. The store roasts these from fresh birds every morning, so it's the freshest meat in the store. Sometimes. But a rotisserie case is also, historically, where a grocery store moves poultry before it turns. Heat and seasoning are very good at hiding the age of meat. None of that is a scandal. It's just 3 reasons the front of the bird can't be trusted to tell you what the back already knows. So here's how you win this aisle tonight, without me, without anyone tasting for you. 3 moves. First, turn the package over and read for water. If you see up to X% retained water, or the words enhanced, basted, or marinated, that bird was injected, and you're paying for the solution by the pound. Second, find the sodium line and just compare. 40 milligrams versus 690 is not a rounding error. It's the whole story in one number, printed for free. Third, read the ingredients like a sentence. Chicken, water, sea salt is a chicken. Sodium phosphate, carrageenan, isolated soy protein, modified starch. That's a chicken plus a moisture system. One of those you can pronounce. And a bonus, for the tray itself, if the skin is sliding off into a puddle at the bottom, or the meat looks glassy and swollen rather than roasted, that's not proof of anything on its own. I want to be honest, that it's a hint, not a verdict. But it's the bird telling on itself before you've even read a word. The label confirms what the puddle suggests. Do those 3 reads, and you will outshop every person in that aisle who's going by the price tag and the smell, which, until about 20 minutes ago, was you. Let's close the loop, because you can read the confession now. You know what retained water is, the weight the label has to admit to. You know what sodium phosphate does. Stop the protein from letting go of that water. You know what carrageenan is, the gel that keeps the bird heavy on the rack, still under study, in there to hold moisture. And you know what enhanced really means, the word that replaced the rule they deleted in 2014. 4 words. That's the entire trick, and you just took it apart. And you know the shape of the whole aisle now too. 2 piles, and price isn't what sorts them. On one side, the birds pumped with solution and sold by the heavier pound. Costco, Walmart, Sam's on the number, the store brands. On the other, the 3-ingredient birds seasoned on the skin, simple truth, the organic options, the small chains. The line between those piles is drawn in one place only, and it's a place the marketing can't reach, the back of the label. Their whole model runs on one assumption, that you'll never turn the package over, never compare two sodium numbers, never notice that the cheapest chicken and the most trusted chicken are running the same play. That assumption is how a bird full of solution outsells a bird made of chicken. And it just stopped being true for you. So do one thing with this. Send it to the person in your life who buys the Costco chicken every single week and swears by it. Not to win an argument, just so the next time they pick it up, they turn it over first. The front of the case was always marketing. Now you can read the back.